Welcome to the Dataline studio, and in this video I would like to talk about how I use two analog heats in my live and also studio setup, and talk a bit about the analog heat Overbridge, and also how I perform my live setup, and yeah, so let's load up Overbridge and see what we can do.
Yes. First made Overbridge for Commodore 64. Little longer than expected. And then we ported it to Windows and the Mac. Load C64 Overbridge.
So here we have the Overbridge control panel, and as you can see, you've got the analog 4 hooked up. The analog heat is called the main out, which is this unit here. Why is this called main out? Because it is the main sound processor. So everything that you hear gets fed into this. It's the last in the signal chain in the studio. I use this as like a sound enhancer, kind of like coloring the sound and enhancing the bass and the highs, giving a bit of drive, push the sound. I really like what it does to the overall sound. It's a really good thing to have. Next would be the analog heat TR09, which this unit is here just because for the TR09. So the output of the TR09 goes into the analog heat, and it processes the audio really nicely. We can actually hear that now. Let's see. So this is with the analog heat on, but if I turn it off, but this one, like this dirty, compressed, and the sound that is like keep on pushing each other. Yeah, it has that magic to sound, I think. And you can hear that the filtering is it's got this kind of like bit reduction thing. I've achieved that with the LFO. The LFO is set to audio rate, so if I turn it on, yeah, you get the idea. But I can go to the filter page and turn that off, and now this is just the filter. That's without it, and that's with it. Switching to the preset, which is called TR09 distortion. But I don't really use it for that. I only use it in this preset to get this compressed sound that it doesn't have on its own. We've got the analog keys hooked up over there, which is that area is kind of like the modular setup. So I got the Roomba rack and the Korg, Volcas, Monotribe, and the circuits. They all go into the analog keys somehow. It's a bit complicated over there. And then the Octatrack is kind of the master, and what I use Octatrack here is like, it's a bit of like a DAW, so that I've got 8 tracks that I can capture sounds, what I made on these machines, the modular and the other ones, into here, and then, yeah, that's a standalone unit type of thing. And this is a separate setup than to this. And then next we have the analog rhythm plugged in, and here it is, and yeah, you can do it again maybe, yeah. So all of this is hooked up via the overhub, so all of them going into here, and yeah, this makes it a really nice way to record individual output from these machines. I can also do individual track recording for these machines, but that is not what I like doing personally, but it is possible to do that with Overbridge. So let's have a look at the Analog Heat plugin. And here is the plugin. And so the bassline and the pads are from the Analog 4, and this funky little nice thing sound is from the TB03. And let's put the rhythm into the mixed. So the Analog Heat is at the end of the signal chain, and it's there. So maybe we can mess around with the plugin and see how it affects the sound. First of all, let's try turning it off. Yeah, this is the difference, and this is why I really like Analog Heat, because it gives that extra boost to the sound, which I've always been looking for. I mean, before Analog Heat, I used to record tracks, put them on Ableton, and use various plugins and equalizer and compressors to get this sound, but I don't know, it kind of worked, it didn't, but this time I could do it in a box, and it's so easy to use. You don't need to be a sound engineer guru, you just need to have good ears and good imagination, and here you go, and this is quite a good difference here. So here you have the graphics that shows the incoming audio, and the envelope is selected here, so you can see the envelope, the yellow lines here. If I click the follower tab, I get to see how the envelope follower is getting reacted to the sound. If I put more release, there you go. You can see how you can hear the changes, but also because the changes are so minimal with the Analog Heat that you really have to pay attention to the sound, what you're doing. This is a great companion to see what is happening inside the box. Now we have a trigger tab, which shows if the envelope, how or when the envelope is being triggered. You can see the green. And finally we have an LFO one. And this shows how the LFO is doing. This is pretty good to draw interesting curves like this. And the way that I've come up with this sound to process this is I'm using a lot of the filter here. So if I bypass the filter, the low end is, yeah, but I use that extra to get in there. And a bit of the equalizer here, so yeah, just a bit, not too much. You can really do it too much. And you see now it's kind of like in the red clipping. So you could boost it like that and then turn it down the presets volume. So this is actually a very handy area to see what you're doing to the audio, because you're boosting the signal. Well, it's a distortion unit, right? So you need to watch out what you're doing to the audio. You don't want to clip it. But green and yellow are good colors, especially green. And you can access all the controls on the Overbridge plugin, like the drive, for example, or the dirt parameter, which is really nice parameter, this one, I think. But one thing I'd like to focus on is you can see this little thing popping around here on the drive. That's because the envelope follower is assigned to the drive parameter. So if I raise the depth, you can see now it's doing more. And that is what is giving that compressed feeling to the sound, that is kind of like jumping around. And that is very important in music, in my opinion. What else? You have like the LFO depth, so you can do all this stuff, or the envelope depth. So it was already assigned like a little minimal, so each time the envelope follower went like this, the filter would go a bit to the high, and that gives an extra punch to the sound. Let's put the TR09 into this as well. See, if I turn the heat off for a TR09, I don't think it fits in the mix personally. I mean, but if I turn it on, yes, that is the sound that I would like as a secondary drum machine. can like assign this. I mean, you can do all sorts of editing here. It's very straightforward. And it's only on one page. All the parameters is very simple. The other page you have is a settings page where you get to see like all this additional settings you have. You have this tab here to set your latency around here, zooming, and a little neat addition which is for the Overbridge 1.15 is the additional skin, which is a light one here. I prefer using the black, it's kind of easier on my eyes. And oh, another thing that I would like to show is this, restart the sequence. That you can load up presets from here. So I'm using the live press, which is, this is my main preset for the main output of my machines. And if I go to the next one, I've got a preset called Dirty Boy. So you can hear that it gives that dirty character to it, which depending on the song that I'm using, I prefer this sound. But yeah, it's totally up to you. And I have another one here which is called Compressor. As the name suggests, it replicates a compressor type of thing. Because you can see the envelope depth is really working that drive here, you can see. So if I turn it off, what else we have here? We have got a mid presser, let's see. Let's kind of focus on the mids, yeah. You can store your presets. So let's have a look how I record my music here. So you can see that there is like two channels here, wet and dry. And the wet one records what the processed audio from the heat into the computer, and the dry one records only the dry signal. So I have the best of two worlds. I can record the affected signal and also the dry signal. This is very handy when it comes to especially recording my live performances, because this is another trick of analog heat which I'm still learning, and I just discovered this recently. I went to this venue, I plugged in my gear, then I set it up, and then I press play, sound check, and it seems that, oh, the levers are all over the place. Then I realized that, oh well, but I have the analog heat, so I can like really fine tune what I'm doing. So I altered my settings to the venue's PA, sounded good, great, but when I listened to it on headphones, no, I wouldn't have done it like that. So therefore, recording dry as well as wet comes really handy here. So you could record the dry signal, and then when you come back home, you want to look at your recorded audio, you can process the dry recorded signal using the analog heat, using Overbridge as well, and do it to your liking, reset it. You don't have to use the wet signal that which was optimized for the venue's PA system. Yeah. And yeah, so if I press play again to play this pattern, you can see that this is the wet and this is dry. But if I turn the analog heat off, now the levels are same. So this is another way to look at it, what you're actually doing to the audio, how much you're enhancing. It's very, very useful, and it's kind of like exactly what I needed to take my music further. I really feel strongly about that analog heat. Let's have a look at how I play these machines in a live scenario, how it is connected. So as I said, the rhythm output and the analog 4 output goes into the octa-track. Boutiques are mixed up here, and this is like a nice drum machine setup here with the TR09 and the heat. So we could play this, and then I could talk through it as well. So this is the track and playing, so I could like do this type of tune here, and I would have this track number 2 is for kick, like a 4/4 kick that I know is going to sound great, and this is like an offbeat hi-hats. And then when the time is right, I can unmute them and maybe do like a bit of a beat repeat. Yeah, and then yeah, it goes like this, for example. Then a lot of people ask me how to do the transitions. This is the way that I would like to do it. I have these two tracks here. The track 7 is got a synth sound that is looping. So I'm gonna mute everything here. So I muted the analog 4 now and the TBO3. So that's good. But now the rhythm is still playing, but I want to get it out of the mix, so I could just, when I put the fader back down, I could mute this. So now I only have TR-09 and the octatrack playing. This is good. Why? Because now I can look at my little nifty book and see which next pattern that I need to play. And that is going to be, for example, this one. I don't know if it's going to work out, but let's try it. And then here, maybe the direct change though. Let's fix that. And yep, that's changed. And 12. So yeah, they're both on pattern 12, and now they're ready to get mixed up into the mix. Let's turn the volume up here, and maybe I could cut the bass now because. Let's see it. And then get rid of the 4/4 kick. Oh, maybe I can even add effects to the TR-09 because it goes to the analog 4. Yeah. So I don't know if this is gonna work, but let's see. I'll unmute the synth tracks on the analog 4 because there's already a composition here. Yeah. And there you go. This is the way that I would do the transitions and my live playing. And of course the analog kit is making the sound just the way that I want it, because I show you